So here we are at the My Guru homepage, and we're going to first go over to the old lawhub.lsac.org website, which is probably your primary resource for the best practice problems available for the LSAT. Now, the web page does load a little bit laboriously, so you can see that it's starting to kick in. I've already signed in. You may need to sign in or log in or sign up for the website, but you'll get access to all of the stuff that I'm showing in this video for free. And on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see there's this LSAT prep tab. So if we click this LSAT prep tab, we then can click on the drill sets as opposed to going straight to the full test that we just saw. And this is a great resource because these drill sets are going to include explanations once you're finished with each drill set. They also have some neat little tips and tricks that you can use to help learn about the LSAT before just diving straight into full prep tests that don't have explanations provided. So I'm just going to click on this drill set 1, and I'm going to click new drill set. And again, it might take a moment to load, but you're going to see this little hammer go and you just have to let it run. So when you're doing this, you might have to just be patient. It is a little bit of a system that takes a while to load. I've got nothing else uh, on the actual computer running except for this right now, and it just is going to hammer away for a moment. So we may end up skipping ahead in the video just because there it goes. Hooray. So now we can go straight to the questions. And when you do this, you can see there are some different tools and some different pieces up here that are exactly like what you'll experience on the official LSAT and the official LSAT prep test. Now, the one piece that you won't necessarily have as the same in the practice exams is the elapsed time here. So the elapsed timer doesn't do anything for you. You don't have to set a timer. It just kind of counts up like a soccer or worldwide non-American football countdown clock. Now, you don't find out how long you spent on each question. You'd have to track that, although I don't necessarily recommend that you do. So it's a clock that's there. It doesn't really do anything. You'll just kind of note that it's present. And you can see we've got a sample practice problem where we've got the prompt on the left-hand side, the question on the right-hand side, and we've got these tools, and you will very much want to engage with each of these tools. So the first here is just the size of the font in terms of the spacing, and you can see I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller. I generally do keep the default. I can also increase the size of the font. I generally keep the default. You can go to a small, which will minimize the amount of scrolling, but we'll see in future videos how you can minimize the scrolling at this default size very effectively to make sure that you're not disorienting yourself just by going back and forth, up and down through the answer choices, or when you get to the reading comprehension, the left-hand side with all of the passage for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to engage with the highlight tool. So I'm going to just pick this orange, and you will want to read the question stem first. So you can see we've got Simone and Juana's statements most strongly indicate that they disagree over whether something. And I'm just going to highlight that right now so that I never lose sight of what I really need to do. And it's a little clunky. You're not going to say Simone's and Juana's disagree over whether, but it gets the point across. And that's ultimately what you're going to be doing with this highlighting tool with all of these questions. So we're going to go ahead and just read Simone's little entry and then work through the problem together. So Simone states, technology is now available that through precise alteration of human genetic material can prevent some of the more severe complications caused by genetic diseases. Thus, a role for medical science is to use this technology to stop these diseases before they lead to serious problems. We should not hinder medical progress out of fear of possible abuses of it. And anytime we have a conclusion in any speaker or any prompt, you're going to want to highlight solely that conclusion. We don't highlight the premises because we want to focus on the main point, which is always the conclusion for any argument. Now we can go to Juana and do the same thing. So Juana states, you are trading one set of problems for a considerably more dangerous set. If you allow the use of technology to tamper with human genetic material, only imagination sets limits to the tragedies that could ensue. And Juana's conclusion is quite clearly this opening statement, because what comes after that is going to be her supporting evidence, as limited as it may be. So now you keep this highlighting tool highlighted so that you can use it to give yourself reasons to eliminate in the answer choices to expedite your evaluation of these options, recognizing that we're still supposed to find something that Simone and Juana must disagree about. So, starting with choice A, medical science should be involved in any genetic research on human beings. And I want to be proactive. So as soon as I see any genetic research, I'm like, that's a bit extreme. So I could just click this little eye icon and it crosses out the problem and grays it out so you won't select it. Definitely engage this tool when you're certain of what the wrong answers are. Then choice B, we've got genetic diseases represent a serious health problem for human beings. Well, for Juana, we just know that we're going to create new tragedies. There's nothing from her saying that these diseases are not a serious health problem or that they are. So we can highlight that little phrase and use the little eye icon to cross out that choice as well. Now, choice C states altering human genes to prevent one set of genetic diseases will only lead to the creation of a new set of genetic diseases. Well, for this one, you may just say to yourself, well, it seems like they're kind of discussing whether genetic diseases are coming from this technology or not. And if you're not 100% certain of what the answer is in terms of being right or wrong, just leave it open. Don't select it with the answer choice on the left hand side. Don't gray it out with a little eye icon. So instead, we'll just continue on to choice D. Altering human genetic material to stop disease will have ill effects. Well, we've got to focus on the terms carefully, but stopping disease in full is certainly not something that is broached by either person. We're talking about affecting these genetic diseases, but there's nothing about stopping all disease, period. So that's a nice extreme statement that we can eliminate from choice D. And then choice E, we've got the risks involved in stopping disease by altering human genetic material are worth taking. So now we might be down to these two, and this is certainly a common circumstance for the LSAT logical reasoning. And in this case, you want to focus on actions, verbs, and descriptions, adjectives, and adverbs for reasons to eliminate rather than to select. And you don't want to allow yourself to fall into the trap of not focusing and highlighting at this point as well. So if we go back to choice C, we can see altering human genes to prevent one set of genetic diseases will only lead to the creation of a new set of genetic diseases. That's a bit extreme again. And there's nothing stating that that's the only thing that will happen with altering these human genes. So we can eliminate choice C and we would happily select choice E at this point. Now, one thing to note is that you do not want to engage with this submit tool up here because that will end your drill set immediately. You can also click this show answer option and you can click these little examples and hints for ways to kind of work through the problem on your own the first time you see it. But if you want to move to the next question, you'll just click next. And that's going to be our next video where we'll discuss how to evaluate these types of uh, identifying conclusion questions in these drills. So check out that next video. And in the meantime, make sure that you're using this great resource that's free over at LawHub.